Welcome back, everybody. I hope your Todoist setup is going well so far. In this video, we're going to go over the higher levels of focus, as David Allen calls it in his book, Getting Things Done, or Horizons of Focus. And for that, we're going to navigate to the bottom 5 lists that we've created at the very beginning of this course. So if you haven't yet, make sure to create a reference list, areas of focus, goals, vision, and purpose. And we're going to go over them one by one, starting with the areas of focus. So here's where you define the various areas of your life that you hold some sort of responsibility for. And here I already added one. But if you notice one thing in particular, there is no way to complete this item. And this is a very cool feature that Todoist has, which I use for anything like this, where I mostly just want to store information. What you can do when adding a quote-unquote task is actually use the star and then add one space in between and then add anything. And you will see that there is no way to complete this task. So the markup defines how it looks in the front end. So if I were to remove the star, you will see I can now complete it if I wanted to. This is perfect, and this is something we will use many times throughout this video. This is really, to me, just a matter of defining and regularly reviewing what are the areas of focus in my life. What is my job? What is the role I may be playing in my family? Anything. Think about it and write it down here and regularly review it to see whether you're still meeting those responsibilities or not. Moving on to goals, this is actually where we do use the regular task taxonomy, so to speak, by being able to complete any tasks. Because in the end, goals are items that we want to achieve. They can be short-term, they can be long-term. Whatever the term is, if you do have a deadline for reaching your goal, you can do so by using the date feature right here, right? And you can interpret this as, by this time, I want to achieve this goal. For goals that are very measurable, like this example here, gaining 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I notice that it helps me to also use subtasks where I kind of break the goal up into pieces. And you may consider doing the same. So a subtask can be added easily, right? I could add, let's say, 850 here, and it's now in there, and I can also move it around so that it looks better and more logical in the sequence that we've set up here. So this is one way I recommend working with it. You could get even more granular. Just play around with it and find out what works for you. If you have projects that support you in your quest to achieve your goal, you could actually copy-paste the URL of that project, because every list has a unique URL. So if you remember that example project where we wanted to rent a car for the weekend, it has this URL. You must use Todoist in the browser for this to work, but you can get it easily this way. And by pasting it and saving it, you will actually be able to interlink goals with projects. As you can see, I clicked on it and right away I am back in the project itself. So if we move back, you will see that Todoist also applied a sort of markup here. This is good because by default it just takes the title of the web page, but you can change that. So anything between these brackets is what will show up as the link. So you can copy paste the title, or right here I'm just typing it and you will see this project is supporting this goal. Obviously this is just an example. But if you want to see, hey, what are the projects that I've completed in support of this goal? Tasks, you can do that too, even supportive tasks. Then this is the way to do it. And once you've reached your goal, celebrate and mark it complete, right? And by showing completed tasks, you can see what kind of goals have I achieved and when did I achieve them. By viewing the activity log, right, you can see here, right, on this day at this time, I completed this goal, I achieved this goal. When it comes to vision and purpose, it's really the same story as with area of focus. We use the star symbol to define an item here. Obviously, it's going to be more elaborate than this, and there's a great resource on the GTD website that helps you actually define your vision and your purpose. And we also use this for reference, and here's where we do get a little bit more elaborate, because your reference cabinet is something very extensive. Over time, it grows. Any article you want to save, any type of file you want to easily retrieve, like a copy of your passport, right? This is an example, and obviously I'm not going to put my real passport copy here, but you could, by adding a comment and then attaching a file here via the attachment. Add that copy through, it supports image files or a PDF or whatever. You can also store voice notes. So this is really the way to store reference items that may have files attached to them. And again, we use the star to make sure it's not an item that we can complete, because when we do, it won't be as easy to find. So this just avoids that from happening in the first place. And this is also where we start needing extra labels for the last time in this system, a new category of labels. Because so far, all the labels we've created are in relation to actions that we can take. And obviously, this example reference cabinet is looking very empty, but over time, as your items start to accumulate, you will want a way to categorize them. And there are multiple ways to do it. So you could, of course, create sublists within your reference cabinet. That way you actually won't need these labels. I personally do like to use those labels because I find that sometimes specific items can have multiple labels attached to them. Perhaps you want to sort by file type plus what they're about. So then a copy of your passport will be receiving an image tag plus a ID tag, for example. Now, let's say that this particular newsletter is something that we want to save. What we would then do is, first of all, instead of completing the task, actually just removing the tags. And then we want to move it to reference. So we just select the project, the list, right, that it currently belongs to, and we move it all the way down here into reference. And the last thing we'll want to do is add a tag. So let's say this is a newsletter about marketing. The labels I use for reference always start with a dash. Again, this is to easily retrieve any reference label once I have multiple to easily find them. I can just create it. And now it's there. Now what you will notice is that there is a checkbox to complete the task, which is not what we wanted. I reached out to Todoist support and they let me know that as of recording this video in late October 2021, unfortunately this is not possible for forwarded email. So you will need to be a bit careful with not accidentally marking it complete in your reference cabinet. But now you can see that by pressing the label, I see the newsletter with its tag associated with it. And same story when I go to the full reference cabinet, I can see the passport copy and the newsletter. So let's go back to our next actions list in the read context and do this one more time, but just a little more quickly. Let's say this is a great website. Of course it is. We're going to remove the labels first. And now we're going to actually use markup to quickly add a new label. Let's say productivity. Create productivity. And we're going to add the star to the beginning of this item. And lastly, we want to move it into reference. And that's it. We save it. And as you can see, it's now moved into the reference cabinet. We can also show it from here. It no longer can be completed. It has a tag associated with it. Let's also give it a nice color coding. So I always use yellow for my reference labels. And there we go. The exercise we just went through is an example of something I added to my Todoist workflow quite recently. I used to store all my reference material in Evernote, but as I learned about these non-completable tasks, I started thinking and trying things out, and I noticed this can actually work. So Todoist can actually be the hub, the suite where all your relevant data lives. This is also a very personalized one, of course. You decide what kind of labels you set up. Again, just like with the organization video, you also decide whether to use lists or boards or a combination of the two. But my recommendation is that you do use labels as much as you can, because you will see that multiple items will have more than one label associated with it. So that's why I just use one reference list and all these different labels. Set it up for yourself, capture everything that you need to from your current reference software if you have one to move it over. It takes quite a while, so depending on how much you have, it may take a couple of hours or even days to complete. But it is worth the effort, because by the end you will just have one place for everything you need. Thank you so much for attending this Todoist course. I hope you're starting to feel like a power user and really get the most out of it. If you haven't created your account yet, make sure to do so by following the link in the description. If you want to show some appreciation for this course, if it's helped you, then you can do so by hitting the subscribe button. If you have any questions or feedback about the course, just leave them down in the comments. I will read through them, answer them, and then others who may have the same question will benefit from reading that as well. So again, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.